Hello viewer, this video is my attempt at summarizing a lot of my important information along with other things for it to be linked to on my shorts, potentially spreading its reach. If you're here, then I suppose it worked. Yay! I decided to put slightly more effort into this than my other videos as I consider it more important, so I made a script as you can probably tell, and did some minor editing. Let's begin. I'll start by essentially rewording my principles document, as it does pretty much what this video does but in Google Docs form, which I can't easily spread via YouTube Shorts. First is the basis of everything. Thought. Thought, as I have said numerous times before, is a vital key to life. Thinking can solve problems, expand your knowledge, improve your mindset, make you realize flaws, and more. In fact, thought is what makes us have life. As Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. But there's two other aspects required to utilize thought to its fullest potential: knowledge and self-control. You need knowledge and a proper set of logic to use thought, because otherwise your thinking will be based on lies, incorrect facts, and/or bad morals. And the more general knowledge you gain, the more you can accurately apply thought to situations. This is why I strive to learn about everything from biology to quantum physics, despite the varying applicability in those fields. Now as for self-control, this is another vital aspect of life. You can't apply unbiased logic to situations if you can't control yourself. Self-control also massively helps when you're dealing with emotions. In any situation, staying calm is ideal. There's no reason to get angry, worried, or stressed in general unless it's a dangerous situation that requires higher level of attentiveness, though too much anger or fear can hinder your focus. So at all times, be able to control yourself and think logically. If the situation is emotion-based though, like sympathizing for someone, then of course you can use emotion. You may wonder why anyone should strive to improve themselves regardless, which I can also answer. I believe as a Christian that the afterlife provides meaning to the mortal life. Someone who thinks life on earth is their only meaning will amount to nothing when society collapses, the sun explodes, the universe ends, etc. Anything done on earth is basically useless unless there's meaning outside of it, in my opinion. So yes, some atheists or agnostics believe that if they're going to live life, they may as well enjoy it, so they do evil and prioritize their own pleasure. And some think that they should improve the lives of others, kind of like applying the former mindset in a more noble way. The point of this is that if you don't believe in an afterlife of any sort, then I can't help you. I think life on earth only matters with life elsewhere, because eventually life on earth will fall and everything done here will be made null. However, assuming there's something worth existing for outside of the mortal realm, like heaven, there's purpose. For Christians, it's to spread the word of God, basically giving the purpose of mortal life to other people. This applies to other religions as well. Now, the reason I brought all this up is to answer the question of why we should improve ourselves. Put simply, assuming there is an afterlife that gives meaning to living the mortal life, and we aren't there yet, then we may as well do good in this stage, especially if the almighty power of this afterlife demands we do so. Thus, as a Christian, I do as God commands, and while I'm here on earth, I try to be the best I can be. This also brings up what you should prioritize in life. First, your core beliefs. For me, it's Christianity, obviously. Everything you do should be determined first by what your core beliefs tell you to do. If you believe that the only meaning in life is to work for NASA, you should put your life on the line and dedicate yourself to the core beliefs before anything else. Of course, in most cases, people don't have that level of self-control and willpower, so they don't 100% dedicate everything they do to those beliefs, just like me. But regardless, you should try. Next, prioritize self-stability. This means financial stability, mental stability, physical stability, security, sinlessness, etc. You'd be risking your life going into chaos if you don't stabilize yourself in all aspects. Now, of course, you can always go further and there's no set limit. There's also no 100% guarantee that you'll be stable despite all your efforts, and in some cases, people are forcefully suppressed from doing so. But if you have the opportunity to be decently stable, go ahead. Just make sure that you're doing it for the sake of stability and not greed. For instance, get money so you'll be safe if you lose your job, not so you can buy a nice car. You can, however, do things for joy, which I'll get to later. Third priority should be benefiting those that accept it. If you've gotten your life stable enough to where you can't complain about anything, then improve others. Help them, make them happy, and just overall do things for them. But there is a caveat. Don't do it for those that won't take it. It's pretty obvious. Just don't try to help people if they're going to waste what you gave them or they won't accept it in the first place. And you may not want to help those that don't deserve it either, like being nice to someone who is rude to you. But there's many reasons to benefit them anyways. The biggest one is just because you should be good. You don't have to go out of your way to do things for people you dislike, but if you're confronted with them, then at least be polite. Another reason to do it is to be an inspiration. There's a slight chance that, pardon the cliche, they may be inspired by a kind act and choose to change. And if they're a rude person who won't change, then you got someone who won't accept it, so just be polite and move on. But otherwise, the more you help others, the better you are. Try to leave a lasting impact on the world because even though goodness can't be scaled, improving the overall living experience and thus happiness of everyone you affect is a good thing, rather than just making yourself happy. The last priority is what I mentioned earlier, bliss. If you're not actively trying to do what your core beliefs may command, trying to achieve stability in any aspect of your life that's lacking, or trying to benefit others, then joy is fine. Just don't get consumed by it, and make sure it's sinless. So harming others for fun is obviously off the table, and getting addicted to video games isn't a good thing. It also helps if this method of bliss benefits you or others, like charity work or educational YouTube videos such as those from Vsauce. All these priorities have their extremes as well. Monks dedicate every second of their lives to their belief, paranoid people constantly try to get safer and safer, scientists spend their lives expanding the knowledge of humanity, and selfish people only want to be happy and care about nothing else. So just try to find a balance. Let your beliefs guide you to be stable and help others. You may have noticed these priorities also follow the logic of what the Bible commands. Put God first, then other people, then yourself. And in some cases it may be complicated, which is where knowledge, logic, self-control, and thought will help you judge the best thing to do. Of course, you won't always have control over the situation, but you do have control over how you treat it. And worrying won't help you at all, so just stay calm and deal with it. Matthew 6:27-34. The next thing I want to discuss is dealing with humans. Humans make the mortal life worth living. Think about it for a moment. No, really, I'd like you to pause for a few seconds to consider why that statement is true before I tell you. Alright, now whether you paused or not, here's why. Everything is done for humans. If there were no humans on Earth except you, you'd have nothing to do. Assuming an afterlife gives the purpose to mortal life, you just exist and follow those beliefs. Everything you do in life is for a human. You learn more to teach others, you may work for a boss and help a team to get money to give to a store owner for a gift for your friend. Everything is either for other humans or yourself. After all, that's all there is. The only truly living things are souls, and the only things with souls are humans. So if you're not focusing on yourself, everything else is for everyone else. Thus, dealing with humans, which you will inevitably do extremely frequently throughout your life, is vital. The serenity prayer applies generally to life, but especially humans. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's like what I've been explaining, but in reverse. So my version would be more like, have the knowledge to understand life, the self-control to change yourself and others, and serenity to accept the things you can't change. When it comes to humans, it's just a little rewording. Understand how people think, fix problems with them when you can, and otherwise try your best to politely coexist with the ones you don't want to coexist with. And there will be a lot of them. Most of those people you don't want to coexist with are probably bad due to a lack of thought, something you realize when you wonder why people are bad. I've often asked myself questions like, why did they, or who would think to, only to realize that they did it because they weren't thinking. So back to the main point, dealing with humans. First of all, as for the people you can choose to be around, choose good people. Influence is a strong thing, and it works in the darkness. It's only once you understand how you've been influenced and you try to stop that you realize how much you've been infected and how hard it is to change. So be wary and think actively about what influences you. I can speak from experience from not realizing I had to do this. Companies do this as well, and if you want to learn why, I'd advise watching the YouTube channel Design Theory. But you won't be able to pick everyone you're around, and a lot of them aren't great. Your boss, coworkers, and sometimes even family. As the saying goes, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose family. So for the rest of people, just stay calm, be reasonable, be kind, and control yourself. But if you can avoid a bad person, and there's no reason to stay with them, then leave. Bad influences or people who harm you should be avoided, friends or not. Some people stay with friends or partners even if they're harmed by them just because of their relationship. If someone you intentionally choose to be around is harming you, reconsider the situation. Lastly, I'd like to give you my method of gaining knowledge, understanding, and having joy. I do this by watching many great YouTubers, which I have linked in the description of this video. I included the names next to the link because on mobile the link doesn't show up as the channel name. I've also linked my thoughts document, which has a section on knowledge, and my principles document, which this video is based on. I hope you enjoyed, learned something, and got inspired. It is my dearest request for you to be the best person you can be and always strive for that. God bless you and have a wonderful life.